Hi, I'm Mary Ann Melton. I'm a Texas Master Naturalist with the Goodwater chapter that's based in Williamson County. And this is my grandson, Tobin. He is going to help me today. And today we're going to talk about making seed balls and why they're useful and why we should. And I want to start by talking about a gentleman named Dr. Doug Tallamy. And he is a professor of entomology and wildlife ecology at the University of Delaware. But what he's done that's very special is, 10 or 15 years ago, he and his wife bought acreage property, and it had been farmed, and there wasn't much natural left. And he's an entomologist, and so he studies insects, and he didn't find many of them. And over time, they worked at planting native trees and native flowers, and all of a sudden, his acreage is filled with natural wildlife. Not only moths and butterflies, but beneficial bees. And his idea, which I find very true, I live in Hutto, which is a small community northeast of Austin. And we moved here 35 years ago. And when we first moved here, Hutto was a very small community. It was farmland in a very small town, and most people lived rural. Well, if you come visit Hutto today, we are not a small town anymore. And there are houses everywhere. And most of the natural habitat has been turned into pavement and small yards with non-native grasses and non-native shrubs. So what Tallamy thinks is that if we work at it, we can return our land, even with our urban landscape, back to nature by what we plant in our yards and on the roadsides. And so that's why we're going to talk about native plants today. Now, the first thing we're going to do is, this is nearing the end of the initial wildflower bloom, and now is a very good time to be able to collect seeds. And when you collect wild native seeds, you want to be very careful, because you do not want to take all of the seed bank for next year's flowers from any one location. But in my yard right now, one of the examples I have Indian paintbrush, and most of it is still blooming. However, this one, no, don't touch it yet. This one has gone to seed. And if you look, here are the seed pods right here. Now, I'm going to take this seed pod, and in front of you, I'm going to open it up. I'm going to take it off. And I would prefer it was a little drier, but I'm going to open it up. And inside, you can see the seeds.
I can't see it.
Well, I'm putting the seeds on this plate.
Okay.
And normally I would wait until they were much drier to do this, but I'm going to hold up the camera where you can see it. These are Indian paintbrush seeds. And in the past, all of the Indian paintbrush that I have at my house came from me going over near Elgin and finding some Indian paintbrush that had already was dried and dead looking. And what I did was, instead of taking the individual seed pods like I did for you, I took the whole thing and I crushed it. And all the little fine dust I spread out over in one part of my open area. I have 5 acres, so I've got a lot of places to put it. And to this day, I still have Indian paintbrush there. One problem I had was that we were always very careful not to mow until the seeds are out. But we had a few years that we were traveling, and I had a wonderful neighbor who would mow for us, and he mowed too soon. And it took 3 or 4 years for my Indian paintbrush to come back. And one of the things I did is I would find Indian paintbrush somewhere else in the yard, and I'd go spread the seed around. So we're going to use this little batch of seed right here in the seed balls that we're going to make. Now, the next thing we're going to do as part of our seed balls, the other thing I found when I was wandering around today, okay, Tobin, back up. I found Texas grass seed. And Texas grass makes a really pretty border. it makes, this is not fully developed yet, it's close, but you can take the little seed, these are where the seeds are going to be, and when they mature, I'm going to put this in our seed balls and hope that it will make some Texas grass. But all the Texas grass that I have, I got because over time I've done different demonstrations about native grasses, and some of it I've done in the spring, some of it I've done in the summer, and I've collected grasses to show the kids. And then what I do when I'm through is I take all the seeds and I put them out at my house. And I don't have every grass that I want, but I have a lot of native grasses at my house because I've done that. So the next thing I'm going to pull out to show you is a year or so ago, before we had COVID, we did a demonstration for kids at a camp out. Now this is, I believe, goldenrod, and when you take these seeds, I'm going to just, if you watch me, I'm doing this.
I don't think they can see you.
I know. But now I'm going to show you what it looks like. Okay, here's our seeds from this, what I think is goldenrod.
Hi.
This is going to be our seed ball making. So I'm going to put all of those in there.
All the seeds.
And then
And hopefully not throw it away.
I'm going to find a different kind of seed.
Oops. And then hold her down of the computer so it doesn't end the video like it did last time.
Okay, here is oregano. Okay? And I'm going to break off one of the seed pods here. Tobin, can you sort of hold it up like that? And what I'm going to you got to be careful because oregano will stick you. So I'm going to pull off these things that will stick me. And this is something I would like to have at my house.
I'm being very careful not to drop this so it doesn't end the video.
Okay, now my oregano seed pod has come apart. Now hold it real still. Real still, Tobin. And so now, I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to open this up, and now you see the seeds coming out.
Well, they can't see it. Their hands in the way.
Okay.
Oh, do not close it.
Okay, I'm going to set this down, and I will show you the end result here.
And be careful of plants that have thorns. They can hurt.
That's true. Okay. What I'm doing is I'm breaking this apart because I don't want to plant a whole lot of oregano seeds just in one spot.
Because
then the plants wouldn't be healthy. Okay, so here is my oregano seed. Okay. Here is still a different kind of seed. Now don't do that. And what I'm going to do, once again, I'm just going to squish it and break it up. And here are my seeds. I'm not sure what this is, but Indian blanket will come into seed, and its seed pods are going to look similar to this. And once again, I'm going to take each one of these, and I'm just going to break it up. I'm going to squish it. And some of these seeds can be really little tiny things. There, now I'm getting some seeds. But what I'm doing is I'm just carefully working these seed things, and I'm separating them out. Normally, wind and rain would do it, but these have been stored away for me to do something with. and there may not be a lot of seed here, but this may have been a fall aster in the aster family. So here's what my seed looks like. And once again, I'm pouring it in here.
So we can make seed balls.
Yeah. Oh, and here's one more kind.
Ow. Okay. And seeds can also be pokey.
That's true. Okay. Okay, this is gay feather, and the seeds are right on the end here. Okay, here is another one that I found. And I'm just going to crush this, and if you see, they just fall apart. And all of these round balls are just filled with seed. You can help me, Tobin. Can you squish them?
Don't let a single seed escape. And that's my dog voice from Dr. Who.
Okay. So, here's what those seeds look like. And I'm going to add them to our mix. So now I've got a pretty interesting mix of seeds in there. And the next set of things is done by parts. And the first thing we're going to use is something called red artist clay.
Red artist clay. I'll show them. This is what it looks like.
It's very soft and silky. And what we're going to do is we're going to put...
And it's very, very, very soft.
We're going to put 5 parts of this red clay. So that's going to be about 5/8 of a cup. And then we're going to put 3 parts of a compost. And if you sift your compost, you might have better results. My compost is sort of a mix. It's one I bought. The lady who I got this recipe from makes her own compost, but I'm breaking this up to where it's as fine as I can make it. Some of it was damp and some of it was dry, but here is my compost, and I'm not making a big batch of this today. Oh, Tobin. Okay, the next thing we're going to do, Tobin's going to stand up and he's going to hold this where you can see. He's going to stir this up really good. Get all the seeds mixed with the dirt. And the clay. Okay, now we're going to start adding water.
As you can see, it is kind of easy to do this.
Okay, stir.
And then you add water. Then you stir some more, making it into a big mix.
Yeah. For kids and adults too, it's a little bit like making useful mud pies. Tobin doesn't think so.
It's hard to stir this thing up now.
Okay, that may let's take a look.
Is that good enough for you?
Yeah. Okay. So here's what it looks like.
Make sure it doesn't get onto your computer.
Okay.
That would be bad.
The next thing we're going to do, Tobin, your hands are going to be dirty. We're going to take about this much and we're going to roll it up and we're going to put it on our plate like that, and we have a seed ball. Okay? And yes, your hands are going to look like that.
Should I get them?
Yeah, get some and make it about that size.
Like this?
See what size that is? Get enough to roll it up and put it there.
I can't.
There was a measurement for the water, but because I'm making such a small batch, I didn't necessarily measure perfectly.
I don't know how to make these.
Yeah, all you do is you take that and then see how I rolled it. I'll get another one. I'll show you. You're going to take this mud and then you're going to roll it in your hand. Carefully, not real hard, and then you have a ball. When you have a ball, you're going to put it there.
Like this.
Perfect. Yes. Okay, make some more, Tobin.
And your hands are probably going to look like this after. I don't think mud pies are useful. How are they useful?
They're not, but I used to make mud pies when I was growing up.
How are they useful?
Well, these are going to be useful because they are going to make beautiful wildflowers.
That might not be big enough. And I hope this one doesn't hurt too.
But you don't want them real big. And because you have so much more compost and clay, not every single seed ball may have seeds in it. But after you get all of them made and you want to try to use up as much of the mix as you can, we're going to scrape it off our hands because those little seeds are so tiny that I probably have little seeds on my hands.
And I just made another one.
Okay, we'll stick it right down there. Okay. All right, there we go.
I'm going to do another one.
Okay, how much more do we have? We still have enough for 3 or 4 more.
With mine.
Yeah. And one of the things I've been doing for me, because I make biscuits a lot, I've been sticking my hand into the red clay because that makes the ball stay together a little better. If just like when you put flour on your dough, that makes it easier to work with. I'm putting more of the red clay on my hands to make it easier to mix with. Now, after you get all your seed balls made, and you can make up whatever size batch that you want. I made this small because it's just Tobin and me making them. But if you were doing this for a big group, you might easily want to make a larger batch than this. And my measurements this time probably weren't perfectly exact simply because I was making such a small batch of it. But the whole idea behind the seed ball is that you're providing some structure to where the seed balls are going.
Your hands will probably look like this.
They will. So you want to be ready to wash your hands when you're all done. Okay, let's see if we can make 3 or 4 more.
I'll use the ones that were in the stirring.
Yeah.
Ow, ow, ow. And
We don't want to waste any of it.
And it can be hurt, and it can hurt when some seeds poke you.
Well, and I did not sift my compost, and so I think there's some compost stuff in this that's a little sticky. But they don't need to be much bigger than that. In fact, that might be a little bit too big.
Okay, I hit it.
All right, we came back from cleaning our hands, and here are our seed balls. They are made, and the next step is going to be to let them dry out. And Tobin will probably be back at my house later in the week, and they'll be dry. And we're going to pick some places that we can monitor them. Now, in theory, the best time of year to plant these is in the fall. However, if you stop and think about it, our spring wildflowers are making their seeds now and dropping them to the ground now, so it probably won't hurt anything for you to put them in the ground now. Now, one of the questions that was asked of me for this presentation was to talk about, have a seat, sweetie, have a seat, was to talk about where to put these. And it would be my recommendation, most of these flowers that I added to this seed mix, and I have more in my bag that I'll make some more seed balls later, or I will plant them somewhere else. the idea is for you, they probably need a moderately sunny area, but it would be, my encouragement to you would be to plant these in your flower beds, because native flowers are beautiful, and you can plan the ones that you plant to where you have a succession of bloom from early in the spring all the way into the fall.
What makes these different from regular?
Well, these are natives. These are flowers that were naturally here, and so the insects and the birds, these produce the food that our insects and birds need, whereas a lot of the flowers that we get that are ornamentals are not native, and many of them have been so cultivated that they don't even have good nectar anymore, and they don't have the fragrance. But what I was saying about the progression, there are some flowers that start blooming in like February, and then right now we're in the middle and to the end of the April bloom. But I have flowers that bloomed all summer that were wild. They came up wild. I have ironweed, I have some mallows, and then I have some asters that are native wild asters. And then I planted some fall aster that I got from one of the garden stores. And I really did not think they were going to survive my transplanting them and the winter storm, but I think they did. There's something growing where I planted them that may be them. So you can also, if you live rurally, you could pick a stretch of road that doesn't have brilliant wildflowers on it, and you could plant it there. Or if you live out in the country, you could plant it in your field. You don't want to plant this on someone else's property without their permission, because if they mow it down before they make seeds, then that's not a good thing. So once again, the next month is a good time to collect your spring blooming seeds. Only collect a few from any one spot. Indian blanket makes tons and tons and tons of seeds, and the time to collect those is at the end of May, early part of June. And once again, you're going to take the dried flower stem and just squish it out, and the seeds will fall out for you. But I want to recommend for you again Doug Tallamy, and let me give you the seed instructions, and I will send this and put it on paper in the thing too. You need 5 parts dry red art clay, 3 parts dry compost, a mesh screen to sift your compost, and then 1/4 part of your seed. Now, you can order seed mixes from Native American Seed. You can also get some native seed mixes at many of the local garden stores. You can get your clay from Armadillo Clay on East 4th Street in Austin. And I hope that you have fun making seed balls, and I hope you have enjoyed the presentation with Tobin and me. Tobin's my sweetie. Until next year at Earth Day, have a great day. Bye.
And make sure not to plant them in winter, unless they're winter plants.